channel. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I've experimented with a couple different setups and this seems to be the best. Also, hopefully you guys can see okay as well. Kind of see where I'm going, what I'm doing, maybe see a little bit of the steering wheel. It's going to be a little bit of a POV experiment for now. See how things go. We are driving directly into the sun. I promise in about 5 minutes we will turn right and we will not be driving towards the sun. So that'll hopefully help a little bit. Oh, this is new. Nice. I've not been down here since I've done this. I guess we're all experiencing something new. So I'm just kind of going to take a second and talk about this 1993 Ford Explorer XLT. So for those of you that have been keeping up through my Discord server, you'll know it's been a few months since I bought this car. For those of you that don't, this is actually going to be a project for a Jurassic Park replica that I will be doing. These are probably some of the most famous vehicles in that show or movie series, besides the Jeep Wrangler, of course. And we're going to do the full wrap and everything. But for now, I'm just going to keep it the way it is and drive it. So it's kind of going to be like a review discussion on this. This is a lot tighter than I thought it was going to be. Good thing this thing actually handles pretty good. And now we're off again. So this is a 1993 Ford Explorer XLT, and it's blue on the outside, and it's also blue on the inside. So it's blue over blue, 2-owner, I'm the third, 73,000 original miles, and I only paid $2,000 for this car. 4-wheel drive, JBL premium sound system, which in 1993 was a little underwhelming, to say the least. But it does have an aftermarket head unit with aux, which is great because I am into my music. But I guess we'll start at the beginning. This SUV, I mean, the Ford Explorer is, it's like a household name at this point, right? You guys know when I say Ford Explorer exactly what I'm talking about. And it used to not be that way. This is the first generation, so this is the model that started it all. And debatably, the model that started this whole SUV craze, right? Before this, you had, I think, the GMC Jimmy, which came out right before this did. But it came out because this was coming out. So this was like its direct competition. Before that, you had stuff like the 4Runner and the Land Cruiser, very 4-wheel drive centric SUVs, of which this is not. This doesn't have a ton of ground clearance. It wasn't really marketed as a 4-wheel drive SUV. Now, I got the 4-wheel drive because I like to have something 4-wheel drive and stuff like that. But really more of a city SUV, something to put your family in and cruise the city streets. And well, there goes the new Ford Explorer. So you can really see how far they've come. But it's just something that was not a really tough off-road SUV. This was built off the Ford Ranger platform. It does have a frame, but it's not one of those go blaze a wilderness trail, right? It also doesn't have a lot of amenities because it's so old. But that's what I like about it. Okay, this thing's got push-button 4-wheel drive. It has a 4-speed automatic with overdrive, with your column shifter, 4-liter V6 with a whopping, absolute insane 160 horsepower and 200 and I think it's 20 pound-feet of torque. This thing ain't a speed demon at all, but what it lacks in that, it makes up for in toughness and just grit, right? I mean, a 4-liter V6 is massive, especially compared by today's standards, right? I mean, we got V8s that are approaching that territory, especially the European ones. But this V6 is Ford's Cologne V6. It was super popular back in this time frame, and you can kind of see why. It was bulletproof. The thing only revs to like 5,000 RPM, which is low by today's standards, and it was naturally aspirated. This thing sucks down gas. Outrageous. Like, I have to fill up every week, every 4 days, 5 days, in this thing. And it's like, if you want to put premium, it's like $60 every time you fill up. If you want to put regular in, you can get away with like $40, but it's still $40 every 5 days. And that's driving. Now that's driving on the highway about 15 minutes a day, one way to get to work. If you don't commute that much, you could probably get away with about a week and a half. I really have no idea what I'm getting miles per gallon wise, but it's probably in the realm of, I don't know, 18 miles per gallon highway and like 13 city, 14 city. So, not great. But look at this thing, man. This is like a 90s icon. The first mainstream SUV besides like the 4Runner. And this thing's still around. You've got a steering wheel pulled straight out of an F-150. Same with like, I know the gauges are also very similar. I mean, it's just a hodgepodge. If you're familiar with the Ranger, same dashboard as the Ford Ranger, except this one is navy blue, as well as the navy blue door panels, navy blue headliner, navy blue cloth seats with burgundy red pinstriping. And this thing, at least mine, is in pretty good shape. I'm pretty happy with it. It's going to need a couple of bits and bobs to get it back, but everything's pretty functional besides the gauge cluster lights, the four-wheel drive doesn't work right now because in these Fords a very common outage is the transfer case motor. So this is a push the button and a motor puts it in four-wheel drive. It doesn't have a stick to pop it into four-wheel drive. So the four-wheel drive motor is gone. The power windows, all except for the front passenger window, are gone. And that's about it, besides the subwoofer and the stereo. Everything else is fully functional. The power steering motor is making that whine that they all do when they're about to burn out. Stuff like that. But everything's great. I put some LED headlights in the thing. All the controls are very operational, very clicky, very, very crisp, ASMR like, when you start pushing buttons in here, and I like it. After I got the alignment fix, it drives super straight. I got some new BF Goodrich all-terrain KO2s on there, and I upped it a size. So they were, I think, 29s, and I went to 30s. And they're also about half an inch wider as well. Fill out the wheel wells a little bit more, make it look a little bit tougher. And this is like what I'm talking about. I'm pushing pretty hard, but we're going uphill. You're not really accelerating. If you don't actually give it some gas, you will slow down going uphill. So if you're an impatient driver, if you don't have some patience, this is not the vehicle for you. Everybody tailgates you, everybody goes around you, and passes you. They're not very happy with you because you will be holding up traffic. It's just not fast by today's standards at all. Unless you gun it and rev the crap out of this thing, which is not designed to do, you're not going to go anywhere particularly quick. Like, I'm giving it a decent amount of throttle here, and you'll see it climbing a little bit. 45, 50, still haven't hit 55. Like, you're just not going to go anywhere quickly. And if that's a problem for you, then I would pass this thing up. Now, address the elephant in the room. It's a bit loud in here. I did a muffler delete on this one. With the muffler still attached, this thing's quiet as a mouse. It sounds like a vacuum cleaner. You just get some radiator fan noise, and that's about it. But with the muffler delete, you get a little bit, and if I give it some gas, it actually sounds halfway okay. It's not a sports car, but I want it to sound a little bit more like a truck and not a household appliance. I don't like my vehicles sounding like fans or vacuum cleaners. I passed up some of that quietness, that refined ride, for a little bit more noise. Some people don't want that. If you keep everything attached, this thing's actually extremely quiet. Like, very quiet. We're gonna... So that got me from about 25-ish to 45. So that was 20 miles an hour. So not too slow at regular speeds, but once you surpass about 45 and you gun it, it's not going anywhere fast. Merging on the highway, get a good run up, or it's not going to happen. It'll maintain highway speeds pretty good. Don't get me wrong. If you're doing 65, you got a decent downhill run, you can get to about 75, 80, and as long as it levels out and doesn't go uphill, you're fine. You can keep that 70-ish pretty good. If it starts going uphill, you're not keeping that 70. You're dropping right back down to 60, maybe 55 even. But this isn't a race car. I drive this every time it rains, every time it's freezing out, every time it gets cold. I'll drive it. I don't have to worry about sliding off the side of the road or having to drive off the side of the road into the grass or anything like that. I can go over a curb at like 35, 40 miles an hour, and it'll hurt because it'll boom, but you're fine. You're not going to break anything. You're going to be good. So, as far as, like I said, amenities, you get a radio, AC, heater, that's it. Single CD, power windows, no remote entry, so you have to stick the key in the door and turn it, and then open the door, push the unlock button, and then everyone else can get in. So you don't have a remote. Some of these did come with remote entry, but this one did not. This came with everything except the sunroof and remote entry. Everything else is got. But you could get these with remote entry though. Mine came with the extremely hard to get aftermarket side steps that are on the Jurassic Park Explorer. You can't find them anywhere. They don't make them anymore, and they're like $1,000 if you can find them on eBay. So happy about that. Came with one key. I got a replacement for like $5 at Ace Hardware. Put some graphite powder in the locks that they work like a dream. The no traction control or stability control. It does have ABS, but you might be able to see it doesn't work. It's the wheel speed sensors, so the speedometer's all over the place, and I think the wheel speed sensors are out, and without the wheel speed sensors, the ABS isn't going to work. So really, no assist on this car as it is right now. Other than that, everything works pretty good. But this car's cheap. It's cheap to maintain. I can fix the power windows, the four-wheel drive system, the ABS sensors, and all that for like under $400. I think all the window motors are about $200 for all of them. The wheel speed sensors are about $50. The transfer case motor for the four-wheel drive system is about $60, excuse me. And it's bolted to the outside of the transfer case, which means all I gotta do is get under there, undo 3 bolts, slide it out, slide the new one in, do those bolts, plug in the electrical connector, and you're good to go. If you know what you're doing, you got the right tools, 30 minutes max, and then you got a working four-wheel drive system. I don't have to drop the transfer case or pop the transmission or anything like that. The only thing that is going to be a major pain in the ass is the rear main seal leak. This does have a leak from the rear main seal, and it's going to be at least $500 to taking it to a place and getting it done. The seal is cheap. The repair is not, because this is one of those that you have to pop the transmission apart and maybe drop the whole thing just to get the repair done. $25, $35, $45, and we've dropped off $50, $55, $60, just hit $60. And that was like foot to the floor. Engine temperature climbed substantially. I mean, like, the gauge went up about that high, like that much farther. So not a race car at all. If you do that for more than about a minute, you're probably gonna climb into some high temps. But that's the beauty of it. This is to drive when you want to drive over a curb, go down through the field. A good farm truck, good countryside truck. Like, I'm driving in the country right now. She works great and can still get you from point A to point B pretty reliably. I like it. I really do. I always wanted a truck, and now I've got one. Now, if it were up to me, it would have a V8, because you can definitely hear that V6 kind of higher pitched noise. Definitely not a V8 at all. It rumbles at idle now with that muffler removed. I like it. But other than that, braking. It's got discs at the front, drum brakes at the rear. And you can tell if you're trying to brake really hard, the fronts will brake pretty good, but the backs won't. So you'll lock the front before the back really grab, so your fronts are working extra hard. I got out here, and I think it was on this stretch of road in the middle of the night, and there was nobody out. I said, how hard can this brake? And I braked super hard, and it locked the front completely, and the back didn't lock. But just leave some following distance. This isn't going to be one of those modern cars where you're going to be able to smash the brakes and brake really hard and follow everyone really close, which you shouldn't be doing anyway. Another fun fact. This vehicle has a seatbelt light, but it doesn't have a seatbelt chime if you don't have your seatbelt on. And the seatbelt light also doesn't come on if you take your seatbelt off while you're driving. Which leads me to believe that this doesn't have airbags at all. Don't quote me on that. I know it doesn't have them in the door, and it doesn't have them in the dash. So the steering wheel is going to be the only airbag that you're going to have, and the steering wheel doesn't say airbag on it. So I don't think this vehicle has airbags at all. very safe. It's got those heavy-duty steel impact bumpers on there, so you're not going to take damage from hitting something or someone unless you're going a really good speed. And that's front and rear. Frame-mounted bumpers too. I'm going to get a frame-mounted brush guard, a couple off-road lights. I already got the radio antennas, like the CB radio antennas, one for each side view mirror here. And we are going to be set to go. The next step after that is going to be to get the wrap done on it. Now, the wrap is still going to be a pretty penny. I'm probably estimating about $2,000 because it's a full-bodied wrap and it's completely different than the body color of the car, and it's a triple color wrap with logos and everything else. But that's going to be the next big major puzzle piece, is going to be to get that wrap going. And I'm going to be super excited once it's done. But I've been fixing it up slowly. I'm making enough money for my new job now to where I really can just fix a couple of high-ticket items each paycheck, and get this thing moving along. So excited to see where it goes next. It's gonna be done pretty quick. So be on the lookout for that. I was like, it rained really bad here the past couple of weeks, and like the roads were flooding and everybody was freaking out, and I was just driving through all these puddles left and right. This thing can go through about 2.5 feet of water stock. After that, you're going to want to extend your transmission and differential breather tubes. After you extend those breather tubes and get an intake that sits a little higher, you're talking about 3.5 feet of water stock that you can go through, something like that. So I might get a snorkel and extend my breather tubes into the snorkel, because they have kits that you can do that. And then I can pretty much realistically, as long as your weather stripping on your doors is good, go up to like where the windows start, so it's about 4 feet of water. I shouldn't need that, but it's nice to have that capacity. I'm more worried about the snow and ice capability, because even in Texas, we're at the point now where we're getting a major snow and ice storm every year in about February. So I want to get that done pretty quick, get the four-wheel drive taken care of, and that's really where I'm going to be happy with. I can drive it wherever I need, on the road, off the road, even in the ice. Might get some snow chains just in case, but it's supposed to be really bad this winter, which, like, it went from being 80 to being like 32 degrees overnight. Like, one day it was, I want to say, like 75, with a low of like 50. The very next day it was like 34 degrees in the morning. It just dropped so hard. So definitely looking forward to getting this thing winter ready. I'm almost there. I'm going to probably do the windows and the four-wheel drive. And then after that, start working on the brush guard and the spotlight that I'm going to put where the radio antenna is now. And then I'll be ready. So I just got to paint the antennas black, because I got some Marine VHF antennas, because that's what the antennas they had on the movie. I got the same serial, like model number and everything, because I'm very big on being screen accurate with this vehicle, and we'll go from there. But yeah, that's about the plans for it. We'll keep you updated in the Discord server, which I'll have a link to that in the description. I'll keep you posted. But yeah, keep up with the channel, hit that bell, get notified of when I upload, and I will see you next time.